What's happening, y'all? How y'all making out? Got an awesome guest today in drummer Evan Diprima, who plays with Atlanta's own Royal Thunder. Had a good time teching out, geeking out, and doing some drum gear talk, man. But we also talk about sleeping on floors and marathon riding sessions, the recording processes of the different records of Royal Thunder, and the fairly complex task of even describing Royal Thunder's music. Plus the virtue of being a chameleon rock band that can play with both heavy bands and indie bands. Maybe we even talk a little bit about cats and dogs too. Shout out to my sponsor, NewOrleansRecordPress.com. If you, your band, your artist, your project, whatever it is that you're looking to put out on vinyl, just to have some physical copies out there, you might as well go with vinyl because you know that shit sounds good. But go on over to the website, NewOrleansRecordPress.com. You can check in on all the vinyl coloring options, mastering options. Plus, you get real-time quotes from that quote generator, which is fucking sweet. Put out some vinyl. You know people are hungry for it. And that vinyl looks good. It sounds good. Man, it even smells good. So without further ado, here we go. Evan Diprima, Royal Thunder. Crash, bang, boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
All right. Evan Diprima, what's happening, man?
Oh, just hanging, man, staying warm. Just ate a can of cold ravioli.
Oh, wow. A can, no less. I thought when you said you ate ravioli, you went to like a restaurant or something, like a civilized human being, man. You eating out of a can? Look at you.
I brought food for the whole 12 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like vegetarian ravioli or something?
It was cheese, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Gotcha.
trying to stay away from meat when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of keep my stomach in line.
I gotcha. Well, I didn't say it, but obviously Royal Thunder, your band, great record came out last year. You're amidst a run now. How long is this run? And then you'll have a break, and then you're picking up again, right?
Yeah, this is until the 28th, so it just started the 17th, so it's just a good straight 12 days.
Yeah.
And we're home for about 2 weeks, and we go out for another about 12 days with Atlas Moth.
Oh, cool.
And then we're home about 3 weeks, and we go out with taking Pinkish Blackout for about like 5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So.
Well, damn, man. You mentioned diet and whatnot on some of these longer runs and stuff. You're a slim and trim guy. Is that one of your diet things? Try to stay away from meat, eat light?
Honestly.
Do you have rules? Is there a regimen?
I actually eat like shit.
Do you eat like shit? Oh, so this is just malnutrition is what's going on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mainly just I'm trying to save and not buy food on the road.
It's wise. I mean, that's definitely wise.
So but yeah, I eat whatever I want. I mean, mainly I just chug a bunch of coffee all day. It's a lot of caffeine. Yeah. Not the healthiest thing, but it works for me.
Keeps you going.
Yeah.
Are you much of a drinker?
Not right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Any particular reason, or just taking a break, or?
I don't ever play intoxicated. I just always want to be 100% sober.
Yeah.
So if I fuck up, I want to know I fucked up sober.
And you know what? That's a very responsible and mature idea. I can't say that I've always necessarily adhered to that myself, but that's a good idea. That's amazing you can stick to it.
Yeah.
Especially because the boredom and the repetition of touring, sometimes, like what little bit of touring I've done, I always feel like one great way to pass the time is to have a few beers before you play.
Yeah.
But sometimes that turns into more than just a few.
I used to do it, man, and then I started to get like really bad muscle cramping.
Oh, yeah. It's the dehydration of it, I bet.
So now I just like chug water and coffee all day, maybe some tea, just kind of stay to that, and it seems to help me out. I used to get pretty bad like wrist pain and cramping and stuff when I would drink, so it just... Plus, like, being hungover on the road sucks.
So...
Yeah, the best way to get over it is to start drinking all over again. So it's the vicious cycle of going from hungover to sort of drunk to drunk and rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed since you haven't been drinking, at least before the shows, that there's been less physical pain? Like less inflammation or whatever?
I mean, it helps, and I also like quit smoking recently too, so that's been awesome.
How long did you smoke cigarettes?
Just off and on since I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, that's good. Congratulations.
So thanks, man. Yeah, my wife and I quit, and we have this little app on our phone that tells you how much money you've saved from not smoking.
Oh, shit.
It's been great, man.
I don't know how much cigarettes are in Georgia, but I swear, I think in New York, I don't smoke, but my friends do. I mean, I think they're like 14 a pack.
Yeah, it's really bad if you're a drummer. I mean, some people smoke while they drum, but
I know.
To each his own.
I know. It's kind of akin to running or jogging or engaging in some sort of pretty physical, athletic endeavor and then smoking cigarettes at the same time. It's crazy. I don't know how people fucking do that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on not smoking, man.
Thanks, man.
What else, pain-wise, have you been, with some of these longer runs, have you found any particular setup that's evolved in time to try to counteract maybe some pain that you were having?
I actually have this thing in my left knee called chondromalacia patella, which is my cartilage has been worn away just from playing over the years.
Really?
And about like 4 years ago on tour, I like this weird bump popped up, and it was a cyst, so I had to get like physical therapy for a while, and it just hurt so bad. But I mean, I just kept playing. Like while I was playing, it didn't hurt. It was just afterwards.
Of course.
And went to physical therapy, and then I kind of adjusted a little things on my kit. Like I started sitting just like a little higher.
Right. I've heard that helps for back pain. Some people say that sitting higher is better for that.
Yeah, because I used to sit like basically on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so good.
Because for some reason, I mean, I still wish I could, but it fucked my body up.
Yeah.
But because I like sitting low, because I felt like I could come down harder on the shells.
Uh-huh.
But I've just raised everything up, so actually I haven't had knee pain in a while. I mean, sometimes when it gets in the cold like it is now, it'll like flare up every now and then. But
yeah. But generally speaking, just adjusting that and whatever therapy you went through, it's more or less resolved it for the most part?
Yeah, it's been fine.
Damn. Yeah, I broke my hand, my right hand at that. So I had to come back, and it mishealed, so I've got a knuckle that's like off in the wrong place and all kinds of shit, and my hand kind of fused together. So it took me like a good year of trying to figure out how I'd come back from that. I went to a doctor, and he said, I can perform surgery on you, or if you just want to try to work through it, the physical action of playing drums and the wrist movement and the whole thing, you might loosen that up and gain some of your mobility back. And in the end, I did. It still stiffens up occasionally, like you were saying, especially when it's cold or something like that. But yeah, so injuries are a bitch is the moral of the story, especially with a contact sport like drumming.
Yeah, man. I mean, nothing's gonna stop. The only thing that stopped me is if like I literally died. So
right.
But I mean, other than that, like injuries not so bad. Like like everyone, I bust my hands up, get like rage or blisters every now and then.
Right.
But I just tape them up or stuff like that, super glue kind of thing. So,
well, considering it sounds like drumming's a passion of yours, when did you start, and how did you start playing drums?
I started when I was 7 years old.
Young.
28 now. So I guess like
21 years.
Yeah, 21 years, something like that. My mom, my grandma, my great grandma, all of them are just piano players.
Okay.
And they're all great. And she wanted to start me on something. And drums is just kind of what I chose because it's what I was interested in. And then I didn't have a drum kit. I started taking lessons. I didn't have a drum kit for maybe like 2 years, like into taking lessons. I just had like a practice pad. And like I'd play on the kit like with my teacher, my instructor.
Uh-huh.
And he was awesome, man. He actually taught me by ear. I didn't learn how to read music till later.
Uh-huh.
He taught me everything by ear, which actually is awesome because it taught me how to actually play in a band, which was awesome. He was just like a heavy metal dude, same as Travis, and he was into like prog stuff, like just had this huge double bass kit and all that stuff. So started out playing just like heavy metal stuff like that, and then as I got older, it kind of just developed into just playing kind of just like still heavy music, but just more along the like hard rock kind of style stuff.
So I guess pre Royal Thunder, were you playing sort of similar kind of, I guess, here's another question, I guess. When people ask you like to describe Royal Thunder, what do you say?
So it's a rock band.
Yeah, that's easier. If you start going into all the subcategories and subgenres, like I would say, to be slightly more specific, the way I would describe it would maybe be sort of a semi-psych indie rock, dark psych indie rock. There you go.
Yeah, that works.
That's my description of it. It's not an easy one to describe necessarily.
Yeah, that's kind of been our thing, man. We're kind of chameleons.
Absolutely.
We can keep up with the metal dudes and still rock for the rockers and
Right.
play a little soft stuff for like the indie folk.
Exactly.
So-
Split the difference, cross the various genres, and you get to play with more bands that way.
Yeah, and it's fun to play because you like the dynamics are just kind of all over the map.
Yeah.
So it never gets old, you know.
Right. Well, going back to my previous question, were you playing sort of a similar style, kind of straight ahead, sort of, heavy rock style stuff prior to joining Royal Thunder?
I was playing in two bands before. I played in a band called Big Jesus, and then
Big Jesus?
yeah,
Nice.
and then I played in a band called Stallone,
Okay.
which was all instrumental, just crazy, just wild shit.
Yeah.
And we all just Josh hit me up around 2012 and just asked if I want to do a tour. We had like 2 weeks. We learned songs in 2 weeks, and then just went out and then joined full on. Like actually, in the middle of that tour, I joined full on. So.
Okay. Nice. So you've been in the band, what, 5-6 years? Something like that?
Something like that.
Awesome. So had the first album come out when you joined?
Yeah, I joined actually right when CBI came out.
Okay, that one
So
makes
the
sense.
first two records I'm not on, and then the first thing I was actually on with the band was the acoustic EP,
Okay.
and then Crooked Doors and Wick. So
Right, exactly. With Crooked Door to the most recent one, was there any major difference for you recording-wise? Was the more recent one easier? Did you feel more acclimated to the style, or did you always feel kind of at home with it?
actually, man, Crooked Doors I feel was just so tight. Like
Yeah.
I tracked them the same way, like just straight into click. That's how I track. I'll like get the parts down, and then it's just me and a metronome, nothing else.
Right.
And then
I've recorded records like that too.
yeah.
I preferred not having the distraction and just thinking just about just locking in and rolling with it, and it feels more natural to not have that additional sort of auditory, distractions at times.
Yeah.
Just focus.
Exactly. So at Crooked Doors, just kind of focused on that record, just playing pocket and just kind of keeping it as tight as I possibly could, which worked out well. And then for Wick, I tracked it the same way, but for Wick, I wanted to have a little more kind of not sloppiness necessarily, but I wanted it to have a little more kind of dirty kind of swing to it.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of like there's parts in Wick where I kind of like purposely danced around the click track a little bit, just to kind of give it like a push and pull in certain areas,
Right.
to kind of almost give it try to give it like more of kind of a live feel. So
But still playing to a click.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, it's funny, like, talking about that, because I've talked to drummers before and engineers, producers, etc., and it's like you say, you kind of, what oftentimes, the snare is still generally lined up with the click, right? But it's sort of the parts in between that float a little bit more,
Yeah.
and that's what sort of dictates that feel difference. But you're still, the 2 and the 4 or whatever you're playing snare-wise is still kind of locked into that grid,
Yeah.
But yeah, I've found that that's kind of the one way to get around it if you're playing to a click.
definitely, man. I mean, I think on Wick, I definitely, the approach I was going for, I think I'm happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah.
Because, actually, Plans was actually, there's no click in that one. That was actually just live. We did that one live, which turned out awesome, too.
Nice.
And, I mean, to be honest with you, like, the next record, I'd like to maybe just not use a click at all.
Track it live.
Yeah, just to kind of give it, like, that, just live sound, man.
Absolutely.
So that's what, because, I mean, click's great and all, but sometimes I feel like it can kind of limit you.
You can. I mean, absolutely. You are confined to locking into that, and there are not every part locks in at the same BPM. So then it's like, all right, are we going to tempo map this? Am I going to just track that one section at a different BPM and then we edit it?
Yeah.
And it becomes, it's sort of so scientific that I think in that process it can sound more unnatural, than if you just played it.
Yeah, I mean, Crooked Doors was actually pretty complex with the way we track drums, because we actually built out, we literally just, Joey and I sat there and just built out tempo maps for every song, because there are a lot of tempo changes, even like gradual, increases where we'd have to click slowly, speed up.
See, I've never actually fucked with that.
Yeah, which, whereas Wick was more... There was a little bit of that, but not nearly as much. I feel like Wick is definitely like a more kind of focused record.
Yeah.
So
they all sonically sound great. Did y'all go to the same people, the same studio, and or the same engineer, and people mixed it?
Joey's our main man, dude. He's done literally every single recording that the band's ever done.
Nice. They sound great.
Thanks, man.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, he's the fifth member.
That's the way when you lock in with an engineer, producer, etc., like that works like that. That's they are sculpting it, and ultimately, when you go out on the road, you're representing that. So they are kind of like a fifth member. It's a good way of looking at it.
He knows this band sometimes better than we do.
Right.
So,
well, he also has the objective perspective of being sort of on the outside, not having been there necessarily when everything was being written or whatever. And then, or once it gets closer to record it, it's good to have somebody that knows the band and has a good idea of what works for the band.
Exactly, man.
Not just a stranger one-off kind of thing,
Yeah, like we'll have parts and he'll be like, that sounds great, but maybe try this. And we're like, oh, dude, yeah, thanks, man. That's that's what I was looking for.
That's awesome. That's the sign of a great producer. And I think one of the other advantages of going to the same person is that when you just do sort of a one-off, like I was saying, what you more or less reference is probably other people's music. But if you're working with someone who has a knowledge of and a back catalog of your own band in his head, then you kind of can reference that and then move forward or take certain things from it. And so that is, I think, a good aspect in sort of retaining some of your sound, quote unquote, but evolving it, which I feel like y'all been able to do. Well, man, question for you. The drum set that you play live, that's the same kit you use on the records?
Some of it, yeah.
Okay.
The kit I use live now was used on about half a Wick.
Okay. Really? Different drum sets on that record?
Yeah, Crooked Doors, too. It's I think Crooked Doors was maybe the same kick drum for everything except Bear 1 the whole time, but the toms were all different. Wick was actually 3 kits.
Really? Were you swapping out, was it the same bass drum throughout?
No.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the first half of the tracks we used this old Yamaha 8000 series that I used to tour actually, and it's just fucking killer. Like, those kits are rad. They're like secret weapons. You can get them cheap and they sound great. It's
Cool.
like the recording custom before they had the recording custom.
Okay.
It's the same wood.
Yeah.
You could literally find them for like $900 now.
Yeah.
It's the white kit I used to tour all the time. The dimensions were the same, like 24, 14, 18. That Yamaha is birch and mahogany.
Uh-huh.
And then what I use live now is that CNC 7-ply mahogany kit.
Oh, wow, it is 7-ply?
Yeah.
It's interesting because it sounds thinner. It sounds like an older, warmer, thinner shelled kit, which is interesting.
It could be the edges. It's got those reverse roundover edges on it.
Oh, okay. So is that a sharper edge? Or
It's just like no angle whatsoever, just rounded over like the old vintage kits.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That's why it naturally wants to sit lower.
Yeah.
And
In addition to being like bigger depths than
Yeah.
average as well with the 14 and the 18.
Because that CNC actually sits, like I keep it, like just it's crazy, man. Like almost just above like finger tight,
Really?
and that's just where it wants to sit.
It sounds great.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, I mean, if you can get away with tuning it that low and still get tone out of it, which it sounds like, it's not overly tinny or ringy or anything like that, but it's tonal. That's amazing that you can pull that off.
Yeah, I mean the toms and all are pretty damn tuned pretty low, and then but the only thing I crank real high is the kick drum.
Right.
Yeah, just I feel like
Which also sounds great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Because like especially with that 24, I feel like the bigger the kick, I mean it's all personal preference, but with me, the bigger the kick drum, the higher I want to crank them. Just to keep the response and the attack and all that. So
Yeah.
when I would play small, like a 22 inch, I would actually tune the 22 pretty low. Where it's crazy how it works, but I don't know. Just the bigger ones, I want to crank higher.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Bonham did the same thing, although in his case, on the top heads, he was tuning those pretty high.
Yeah, he tuned pretty high just all around in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like, which I mean, I've tried that, and for some reason I just can't pull it off, man. I can't ever get it how I want it. Shit, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he was doing, but whatever he was doing is amazing.
Fuck yeah, it's crazy, man.
But like I've tried higher tunings, and I don't know if I just don't have the ear for it, or just the way I hit doesn't like it.
Right.
You know. But I've always been a fan more of just kind of tubby, just low tuned drums.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Like just like just like almost not even a note.
Yeah.
It's like attack and thud, you know.
With the CNC kit, did you have it custom made for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you request like the ply, the particular bearing edge, and the dimensions, and they made you one and that kind of thing?
Just the dimensions and the wood and the edges and just the specs, like the lugs and the finish and all that. They make all their shells in house.
Nice.
So and then everything is basically they offer the mahogany shells I have. I think are the player date ones. Which like you can actually buy player date ones in shops. I just use those shells, but just customize the build.
Yeah.
So and I just got like it's like a black stain with like a vintage. It's called a vintage gloss, which is like a lighter gloss finish, just so it's still, because I wanted to still have that like resonance of like a stain.
Right.
So it worked out pretty well, man.
Fuck yeah, man. That's awesome. And was that the first custom kit that you ever had?
That was, yeah.
That's nice.
All the other kits I've used have just been old vintage kits that I've bought.
Yeah,
know?
same here.
It's the way to do. I mean, the old shit sounds better.
I agree. I feel like it's funny, you know, all of these the sort of the thicker rimmed, thicker lugs with like super dense plied shells and everything. Most of those sound a little dead to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because one, I've romanticized and or just nostalgic about more classic rock music where drums were more tonal. Maybe it's that, or if it's just, I don't know, man. I like playing drums that have more tone and are warmer rather than super dead. You know, I guess at one point, if the faster music you play, like a lot of the, you know, like death metal dudes, kind of extreme metal guys, they play real tight, almost gated like stuff because they're playing so many fucking notes. But obviously, if you're playing groovier stuff like you're playing, I think bigger, thuddier, boomier is the fucking way to go, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And something about like the wood for the vintage kits too, like it's older and more dried out.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just develops a sweeter sound.
Yeah.
And like that CNC kit is the closest thing to like a vintage kit that isn't one, I guess you could say.
A modern vintage kit?
Yeah, that I could find, yeah. And those dudes are awesome. They're super easy to work with and cool guys, and I hope to get another one from them when I can. So.
Yeah. I talked to different drummers about like some of their favorite drummers. Do you have your Magnificent Seven?
Dude, I love, there's a lot of dudes I love, man. I love John Tempesta.
He's great.
Yeah, he's the jam, dude. Stuart Copeland.
He's awesome.
Dave Grohl, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Ian Pace.
Ian
Ginger
Pace
Baker,
is such a bad motherfucker.
Mitch Mitchell. Man, there's so many.
That was probably 5 or 6 right there, so you're close. By the way, Stuart Copeland, Ian Pace, both cancers like myself. I just want to throw that out there.
Bill Ward, of course.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Bonham, of course. I
Yeah.
mean,
All the guys that you just mentioned, with the exception of maybe Stuart Copeland, all kind of had a bigger, warmer, like boomy drum sound.
yeah, all the OG guys, man.
Right.
I mean, that's really what I'm into.
Have you toured with any bands recently where you were like, oh, that you enjoyed, because obviously when you're touring with bands, you can see them so many times. Was there any particular band that you enjoyed a lot, or a drummer in particular that you were like, oh, this is fucking killing?
We did that Brant Bjork tour, and that Eugen dude, Black Wizard, was on it. That dude rips.
Oh, nice.
It was cool watching him every night. Enslaved, Kato dude, Destroyed. And that dude was awesome because he was, it's like heavy metal, but he plays he plays metal hits hard like a rock drummer.
Right.
So it was killer.
Nice.
We did the Monster Mag tour years ago, and that Bob Pantello dude's badass.
Oh, Bob's killer. I've had him on the podcast. He's
Yeah.
fucking hilarious as well. Have you hung out with him much?
I mean, just not besides the tour we did.
Oh,
So-
I mean, yeah, that dude is fucking hilarious. The interview that I did with him was just like constant absurdist comedy the entire time. It was he's just a fucking hilarious dude.
Yeah, he's badass, man.
He's great. He's awesome.
He ripped it. Like, it was fun watching him every night.
Fuck yeah, he's great.
I mean, pretty much all the bands we toured with, the drummers have been awesome.
Yeah.
When we did Hellfest, that was the first time I got to see Cadaver live, and that dude destroyed.
Okay.
It was fun watching him.
I'm not familiar with him. I gotta check him out.
Jimmy from the Sword, the Jam right there, that dude is the best.
Yeah. So see, there's no shortage of modern drummers that you can
Yeah.
name. But I guess maybe not as much maybe listening to it in your spare time, but just absorbing it in a live context. You know?
That's what I'm all about. Is like I actually enjoy seeing a band live more than listening to a record, just because I feel like that's where you really hear a band, is when you go see them.
Well, you can also learn more, assuming you can physically see the mechanics of what they're doing. That's what one of my drum instructors told me growing up. He was like, "You can listen to music all you want, and that's great, and you should do that. But and you can practice. But there's two important things: one, going out and physically seeing drummers play it, and you getting out yourself out of the practice room and doing it as well."
Yeah.
And I was like, to this day, I mean, that's about as accurate information I've gotten probably, about drumming.
Yeah, it's the truth, man.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Of the gigs that y'all played, and there's been quite a few over the years, what was one of the gigs that strikes out in memory as being especially strange, or maybe a particular equipment meltdown that was bad?
Last Europe tour we did, the cam in Germany, the cam on my pedal just snapped in half, which has never happened to me. Like, I've broken chains, beaters, I've actually broken pedal boards a bunch.
Right.
But the cam snapping in half is just weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, so I just had to play the song without, rest half of the song without a kick drum. But
which is so demoralizing. It sucks. We were talking about it. It's the worst. I was saying that you're better off almost cracking a snare and then at least switching it up and just playing a bunch of tom work. But when your bass drum goes out and it's just devoid of low end, it's just fucking cymbals and toms and snare. It's like, it sucks.
It's every time it's happening with a kick drum, it's crazy because the sound, the engineer, they'll run on stage checking the mic, and I'm like, no, this is my my kick drum, my pedal broke.
Yeah.
That's why I always have a backup pedal just sitting right behind me, man.
Wise.
Just because you never know.
Absolutely. Do you bring a backup snare just in case as well? So you got a backup pedal and a snare on stage with you?
Yeah.
Wise.
Every single time, man. I wish I could have more backups, but maybe one day.
Yeah, just have an entire drum set set up behind you.
Yeah.
Just jump off that one, just jump from drum set to drum set.
Exactly, man. That'd be ideal.
The Evan Diprima multi-drum set experience.
Yeah. Dude, it'd be killer to switch up a kit in this set.
Yeah, I mean, you see bands, I guess, once they get to a certain level, they can set up different kits like that, and that's awesome. Then you're like, really kind of recreating sort of what you were talking about with what y'all did in the studio with different kits. Maybe there's a different, tonal quality with a different kit that sounds good on a particular song. It'd be so fucking awesome to be able to switch that up.
Yeah. For sure, man.
Life goals, Evan. Life goals.
Eventually, man, one day, I'm just going to keep trucking, dude, see what happens. So...
Nice. Well, man, obviously, I know you grew up in Georgia. You mentioned your wife. What does your wife do to keep herself occupied while you're out on the road? Do y'all have any pets? Do you have a goldfish, a cat?
We have a cat and a dog.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's so supportive, and it's hard to find someone like that. And
absolutely.
I know it's not easy me being gone all the time, but she's great about it, and I respect her when I'm out here, and I just, try to be there for her and give her mutual support,
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the cat and the dog, because I have a cat and a dog as well. The cat is an asshole. He destroys the house. He's super fat. He has a little head. He has a little pea head and a big fat body. I said he looks like a furry bowling pin, And he has this giant gut that waddles around and everything. He's a street cat. I started feeding him, and then he's never looked back. And now I've got this fat bastard that destroys the house. And then we have a little furry dog who the cat beats up. But then the dog, as of recently, has been eating the cat shit out of the litter box.
Oh, damn.
So we've got it's just like
That's
a
what my
wild
dog does.
zoo in the fucking house right now.
Dude, my cat, our cat Olive is actually a cat my wife's had for I guess maybe 8 years.
Okay.
She's awesome. She actually used to be, she would attack you, but over the last few years she's just really chilled out. She's on a diet right now.
Oh, got too fat?
Yeah, she just now she just sits by her food bowl all day waiting.
Oh, it's so sad.
I know, I feel bad, but she's on a diet, so she's got to get healthy, so we're just feeding her smaller portions, different food, different kind of food. And,
that's funny, dude. I brought my cat to the vet the one time I brought him there, and they were like, he's overweight and he has a heart murmur. And I was like, he likes eating so much, I'm not going to deprive him of it. I just give him his dry food. He gets wet food twice a day. He's a spoiled little fucker, but I'm just like, I want him to be happy. It's going to suck if he prematurely dies, of course, but at least he got to live happy. Something to be said for that.
Yeah, man. Shit.
So what about the dog?
The dog's, his name's Bang. He's only a year old, man. He's just still a puppy, and he's just still got just wild as hell. He's awesome. He's just a little Chihuahua Dachshund mix.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A Mexican German.
Yeah, he's super cool, man. He's just the best.
Is he long like a Dachshund?
He's long like a Dachshund, but tall like a Chihuahua. So he looks.
Oh, so he has long legs, but he's also long.
Yeah.
So you got a strange looking dog, is what you're telling me.
And he has two different color. He's like a two-face, because one side of his face is black, and then the other's gray. So he has whichever angle you look at him from, he looks like a different dog. So
it's pretty amazing.
It's split right down the middle.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's cool.
Damn, dude, I love a good dog or cat story. So going forward, here we are, 2018. Y'all are already starting off with a bang. It looks like you got a lot of shows lined up. Any other things you got lined up for 2018?
We're just working on setting more tours up, and eventually we'll start jamming on some ideas again, and just basically playing our asses off, man. Trying to set stuff up so we are just literally busy all year.
Yeah. Well, Evan, thanks for talking to me, man. Appreciate it, and good luck on the rest of the tour. Look forward to whatever jams come next.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it, man.
All right, everybody. Thanks, Evan, for hanging. Thanks, Royal Thunder, for kicking ass. It's great as always seeing them mixing it up, playing songs from different records and the continuity of it all that they really have. So be sure to check out any of the records that they have put out and or catch them live. They do not disappoint. Keep tuning in. Very much appreciate it. Go on over to the YouTube channel and or on the iTunes podcast and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll catch you on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.